Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Rough, Tam McManus and Gabriel Anthony are here with me. On the programme, we've got still one more to do in our Cup final. Of course, I'd like to thank everyone for their support over the course of the season on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. Share the stream, and on YouTube you can also hit that red button and subscribe and join the football family here on PLZ Soccer. So got a fair bit of flack, Roughie. We had to have a day off here, solid, Roughie. I thought everybody was close to burnout. What about yourself, Roughie? Were you okay?
Yeah, it was not too bad. I managed to get through it. Obviously, we'll come to it later on. Obviously, I'm still got a wee bit disappointed for the predictions. Took me a couple of days to get out of that. But I've been looking at my piggy bank to see how much I've got in my piggy bank to see what kind of meal we'll be going for.
I have to say, it was such a close finish. We will talk about Scotland and Steve Clarke's selection process. 26 men selected for the Euro 2020 games. Gabriel, until you were there when he unveiled the 26, any surprises in your mind?
The one biggest surprise is the inclusion of Rangers teenager Nathan Patterson, the 19-year-old, making it in ahead of second choice right back Liam Palmer. Other than that, it pretty much picked itself due to the injuries to Kenny McLean, Ryan Jack. We also had Ollie McBurney and Ollie Burke, who might not have made it, but were in with a shout. They're both out injured as well for the duration of the summer. So the biggest call for Clarke is dropping Liam Palmer and picking up Patterson. But of course, the talking points are the other inclusions of the uncapped players. That's David Turnbull of Celtic and Billy Gilmour of Chelsea. I've got to say, Peter, when the announcement came out at midday today, I was excited. All my friends, all my pals, all the colleagues, all the journalists I spoke to today were excited because the young players, it's fresh, it's something new, it's something that opponents don't know too much about. And it's every wee boy or wee girl's dream across the country to be included in that European Championship squad, aged 19 or 20. Just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good take on it from Gabriel. I mean, a lot of his friends are younger than us, Roughie, which wouldn't... Here's the squad, Roughie. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I think he's been pretty loyal to the guys who have got us there. I really do feel a wee bit sorry for Xander Clarke. I think he's had a fantastic season. I know John McLaughlin has only been playing sparingly, but he's been in all the squads, so he's been loyal to him. The forwards were, I think we all know, we're limited, what we've got. I mean, he's elevated Fraser and he's elevated Christie into these forward positions. They're not forwards. They're midfielders, they're wide players. So really we've just got three strikers in there, so hopefully, the three of them can stay fit. But apart from that, I think it's horses for courses. I think the guys that have all been in there, have all done something at one stage in the group, and he's been very, very loyal to him. As Gabriel said there, he's given boys from the future a wee taste of what it's going to be like, and that can only be good for the future for these guys to be part of the squad and to learn about what happens when you get to these finals.
Yeah, of the 26 players, Tam, okay, you've got the there for many young people in Billy Gilmour. David Turnbull did get in there. Of course, there was no surprise for me that he decided against Lee Griffiths, even although there will push suggested he could be a great option from the bench.
Yeah, Peter, I think it would have been unfair for Lee Griffiths to go. I don't think he's been good enough this season for Celtic. I don't think he's been fit enough. And I think you're picking him. You'd have been picking Lee Griffiths on reputation. You'd have been picking him on the 2 free kicks against England. Because I think for the last year and a half at Celtic, he's not done himself any justice. So I think that Nisbet deserves it. He deserves to be in the squad. He's been flying for Hibs this season in a successful team. He's grafted his backside off. He's fully fit. So I'm not surprised that Nisbet was in. The one for me would be Ryan Gold. I think he's unlucky. I think he's had a great season over in Portugal. Listen, we don't really get to see a lot of him, but I look at Greg Taylor, and I look at Greg Taylor and I think, no harm to the boy, no harm. He's a decent player, and Steve Clarke's been loyal to him, but we've got two world-class left-backs, Kieran Tierney and Andrew Robertson. He's not going to get near a game. He's going to be carrying the hampers. So for me, I think you would have been looking at somebody like Ryan Golden instead of Greg Taylor, just for something different, or even Josh Doig, a young boy. Give him that experience, give him that that platform of the Euros. He's not going to play either, but just gets him involved. He could be your future left back. So I just think that if I'm being picky, that was only maybe one I would maybe change Greg Taylor out and maybe Gold or Doig in. But I think the rest of the squad picks itself. I don't think there's any real surprises for me.
Yeah, Andy Phillips says on Facebook, Lee Griffiths had all season to prove himself and failed to shine. Andy, I think you make a good point here. I wouldn't narrow it down to just all season. I think the last couple of seasons have been poor. He won't be happy about it. I know that he had a feeling that he had an outside chance of getting in there, Roughie. I understand where Tam's coming from when he wants a Ryan Gold, because maybe something a wee bit different to offer on the flank rather than just somebody covering in case the dreaded injury comes to Rob and Kieran Tierney. But I wonder, Roughie, if there will be even more sentiment tomorrow, for example, for Andrew Considine and Farmer as well was missing out. And he has been, one of those ever-presents who's been available, even if he wasn't selected regularly, Roughie, for Steve Clarke. He must feel miffed.
Yeah. As a manager, you're going to be letting people down, and I know you've got to get your head round it, and think if you're young enough, you think you've got another chance. As far as Lee Griffiths is concerned, I hope he goes away, and I hope he is upset. I hope he's really upset, and he'll see what he's let slip away, because there's no doubt about it. He's got ability. We all know he can score goals, and this is a wake-up call for him. This is a massive, big thing that he's missed. It's a massive occasion getting picked for your country to go and play in a Euro final, and I hope he is really annoyed, and it might be the kickstart he needs or the kick up the backside to say, look, I need to get my act together, because he is still relatively young enough if he gets back to the form that we all know he's in. As far as Considine's concerned, I'm no disrespect to the boy. I think he's a club player. He's a fantastic club player. But it's another level. I know he's done okay when he came in, but he was never going to be a starter for me. He was never going to be playing against England or Croatia or even the Czech Republic. So, no, I think Lee Clarke has picked. Stevie Clarke has picked a team that I think we could pick the 11. If they're all relatively fit, I don't think we're going to surprise anybody. I think if we all sat down with a piece of paper, we could pick nearly 10 out of the 11 that's going to start the first game.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider on that, Gabriel, we were looking there at, James Forrest, late run, able to sneak in. I think maybe what he's contributed to Scotland before certainly would have entered Steve Clarke's mind. His experience invaluable both domestically and in Champions League. And Ryan Fraser may well be a gamble, but he has scored some good goals for Scotland. And again, he may well offer something a little different once Dykes or Shea Adams run themselves into the ground.
Yeah, Roughie was speaking about it earlier, saying that Clarke has almost shoehorned Fraser, Christie, and even Forrest now into being that second forward. But what Fraser and Forrest will give us is actual wingers. They're the only two out-and-out wingers. Yes, Christie can play wide. You can push Robertson up to left wing or play Armstrong off the left. But the thing is, they are the only two out-and-out wide men. And if you do want to go to a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-3, a 3-4-3, try and win a game. If you need a point, if you need 3 points in that final match against Croatia at Hampden, that's what they offer. James Forrest has only started 4 games in 2021, so many will say he doesn't deserve to be in there, but he's one of the most experienced players in that Scotland squad. He's got maybe the second or third highest amount of caps. He's got 5 goals, of course, that hat-trick against Israel in the Nations League all the way back in 2018, which is what got us to the playoff and then eventually to the Euros. So I do think that Forrest's inclusion was always likely. Interesting as well, you talk about Considine there. I think it was a flip up between Considine and Cooper, and in the end, Steve Clarke probably thought with his head just a little bit more than his heart. There will be no boogieing from Andy Considine, but I know that he'll be cheering them on from the sideline as a fan all summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take it as Peter that's frozen.
I was going to say, I don't think it's any of us three.
It's okay.
Sit there
Are you
like
with us?
stupid idiots. I had a
Are you with
feeling
us?
you would do that. Yeah, this is what Steve Clarke had to say on the uncapped players.
This time was really only two difficult phone calls. Was Andrew Considine and Liam Palmer. Both obviously very disappointed, but we have the opportunity to make changes to the squad all the way up until the night before the day before the first game in the tournament. I've told them all, and it's a message for everybody who maybe thought they had a chance to be involved, is stay fit, because with the COVID situation and injury situation, you never know.
No, I think he makes a great point there. I think he makes a great point in terms of injuries. I think that Considine, I think there'll be a standby list, and I think maybe even Griffiths could be on that list in terms of a striker. I think Lawrence Shankland will definitely be on it. So it's up to those guys. As you said, I think it's always been the worry going into big tournaments. Roughie will probably tell us more than the other 3 years, but injuries. But now with the COVID situation, if somebody picks it up and you've got to self-isolate or whatever, that could really open the door to 2, 3, 4, 5 players for the Scotland squad. So I think it is really important that they don't go anywhere and they keep themselves fit.
Yeah, well, we're going to play Holland and we're going to play Luxembourg, and there's no guarantee that everybody's going to come through these games 100%. It doesn't matter. In this day and age, you're going to pick up injuries, and I'm sure everybody that's picked in the squad and playing the games will be panicking in case they pick up a serious injury. But you're right, that squad, I mean, we saw it before with big internationals, that 3 or 4 players aren't available for the next game, and that'll be the same. So yeah, I think you're right, but let's hope nobody does get injured, because I think this is as good as we get. I think although we're talking about Considine, we're talking about Palmer, we're talking about Griffiths, I think the squad, this 26 we've got, is our best 26. I think if people start falling out of that squad, the rest of the people that are coming in aren't of the same quality. So he's got a massive problem. He's relying on a lot of players who are given to be in that team, and if there's certain 2 or 3 of the given ones pick up injuries, we're in a bit of a bother.
Yeah, here's what Steve Clarke had to.
Sorry, just about what Tam said, Peter, that there is no standby list. Speaking to Steve Clarke earlier, he said he didn't want to make an official standby list just because of the way that the way that COVID outbreaks can happen. He said, what's the point in making a standby list of 7 players if 5 midfielders get COVID or get injured or something like that? So he's just told all the players, Andy Considine, Liam Palmer, the likes of Lee Griffiths, Lawrence Shankland, anyone who thought they were in with a shout and has been in the previous squad, to be on standby until the first day of the Euros on Friday, June the 11th.
Yeah, this is what Steve Clarke had to say on the players that missed out.
This time was really only two difficult phone calls. Was Andrew Considine and Liam Palmer. Both obviously very disappointed, but we have the opportunity to make changes to the squad all the way up until the night before the day before the first game in the tournament. I've told them all, and it's a message for everybody who maybe thought they had a chance to be involved, is stay fit, because with the COVID situation and injury situation, you never know.
I'm glad I'm playing 5 tomorrow.
Yeah,
in
why?
case Peter, he said anybody thinks I've got a sniff, so I'm going to be playing 5 just in case.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who mentioned the fact that I don't know why it's like this, because with BT, I have increased to the highest level possible on Wi-Fi. So God knows what's happened. But we are only, before we get to the end of the season, Roughie, the great news is this is possibly our second last day of being in this box, speaking to each other, because apart from our cup final preview and post-match analysis on cup final day, Roughie, when we start back for the new season and maybe do our Euros, we're all going to be here in the studio, which is great news, unless something catastrophic happens, Roughie. We're all coming back together.
Don't start, honestly.
No, it's a fantastic studio. I'm sure everybody who tunes in will see that there's a lot of quality there. and the studio is great. It'd be great just to be back again. I'll bring some of my pictures just to put in the back wall, just so that people are still used to them being squinty. Because it wouldn't be the same for the boy in Australia, if he was just looking at pictures in your studio that are all right.
Peter.
Yeah, so thanks.
Peter,
yeah.
You need to build a wee bar next to the studio, surely, so you can have a swally a couple of times after the show.
Can't see.
Look what you've done to him now. You've froze him.
Oh no, that's him away.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I've got him. I can see him. Craig's wife. Yeah, it's incredible. It's just a little bit jumpy today, but thank God we've only got 2 days to go. Of course, Gabriel thinks that we can get out of this group. He'd say aim for Scotland.
Yeah, definitely. As I was speaking to you a few days ago, Euro 2016 was the first time we saw the 24-team format. I don't know about you three, but I absolutely detest it. I think 16 or 32 is fine, but it's good for Scotland as a country because it means 4 of the best 6 third-place qualifiers go through. And almost certainly, if you get 4 points, you will progress because that'll be better than the other third-place qualifiers. So it's just a win and a draw. And I certainly think this team that Steve Clarke's picked can do that. I think he's got options in there. I'd love to see Gilmour start one of the games, whether it be the last game against Croatia when there's some tired legs in there. I think with Turnbull as well, it gives you something a little bit different. He scores goals from midfield, something that perhaps Ryan Christie scores goals from outside the box, maybe not this season for Celtic, but he certainly has that in his locker. But I just think that we can surprise a few teams. And the fact that it is at Hampden, I know there'll be no fans there, but the fact that it is at Hampden, I'm confident that Scotland will get 4 points and be in the last 16 of the competition, which is what Steve Clarke is aiming to do.
Yeah, well, I love your optimism, Gabriel. I mean, after announcing the squad that feat that you're talking about, if Scotland did achieve it and got out of the group, they'd be legends.
We're going there with the intention to get out of the group, of course. There's no point in going if you're just going there to make up the numbers. We're going there to be as competitive as we can be, and if that gets us enough points to get out of the group and into the knockout stage, then, like I said before, the lads can become legends.
Yeah, okay. I don't disagree with that. I think they can become legends, but I don't think they'll get out of that group, Tam.
Oh, I'd love to be as optimistic as Gabs. I think it'll be very, very difficult. I think that the England game is huge, and we go to Wembley, and can I see us going down there and getting anything? Probably not. I think England are one of the favourites to win the whole tournament. I think your games, the Czech Republic, I think we drew with them at home, but I thought the Czech Republic were very good. They're in good form, and I think the Croatian game, the last game, I think if you go into that, as Gab said, even with a point on the board for the first 2, and you go into Croatia thinking if we can beat Croatia, we're into the next round. Then I think that I'll take that just now. I don't think Croatia are the team that they used to be. I think they've got a lot of aging players in their team. I think that golden generation with your Modric and your Rakitic and all that are just getting to the 34, 35 age. And I think that's a game that you can maybe target to try and win. But I think you need to have at least a point going into that. As Gab said, 4 points would probably get you out into the next round. I think if Scotland can get out that group, even as a best qualifier in third place, I think it would be a brilliant achievement.
Yeah, it would. He shares that view, Roughie, but I can only see 1 point possibly out of the 3 games. And I'm not being negative about it. I'm the most optimistic Scottish. I've followed Scotland everywhere. But
yeah, I think the way we've got to look at it is, in reality, it's 2 home games. It's 2 home games on our own pitch, on our own backyard. We will have some supporters in there. I really do think in the games at Hampden, he has to be adventurous. I think he has to go 3 at the back. He has to play 2 strikers. We have to take points out of these games because I don't think we'll take anything off England. I'd be absolutely surprised if that happened. And Tam's right. I agree with Tam in both accounts. I don't think we want to be kidded on by the Czech Republic scores that we've had before. A couple of the games, they had a right COVID epidemic. It was a second team they put out against us. When they came to Hampden, they were very, very skillful. I was really impressed with them. Croatia is the one, and Tam's quite right in what he was saying. As you know, I've got a couple of Croatian pals who were telling me they are a country in turmoil. Most of their older players are retiring. They've got 2 or 3 youngsters coming in, but it's going to be a really, really inexperienced Croatian side. So a point Czech Republic, and then the Croatian game's the big one. But when we get to the Croatian game, let's remember it's a home game. Let's not be sitting midfielders and all that carry on. Let's get 2 attacking wingers out there. Let's get 2 strikers up front and let them know they're in a game.
Yeah, just on that point, Roughie, and I feel it's only pertinent as we get to the end of the season. The couple of Croatian pals that you have, what are the women's names? Just for, out of interest, what and do you call them regularly?
Drago and Abram Skaracevic.
Yeah, so there's a guy for the entire season, Tam, who couldn't pronounce the name Alfredo Morelos. So I don't believe for a minute we've got a couple of friendlies, Netherlands, Luxembourg. That's the perfect time for him to get the definitive 11 Gabriel together.
Yeah, certainly. I think there's no doubts that he'll go for that three at the back formation with the wing backs. O'Donnell will start first game, the first friendly anyway. Who knows if injuries come before the tournament itself. But he will go with that 3-5-1-1, I want to call it, because he likes to go Christie off Dykes. But as Roughie said, I would like to see 2 up top in the biggest games, which is why I think 3 strikers is just a little bit short, especially when it's a 26-man squad. Starting 11, 10 out of 11, Roughie. I think you're probably right there. I was speaking to Steve Clarke today. He said that Scott McTominay will be used exclusively as a central midfielder if things go ahead with the same bodies as planned. Because of the injury to Kenny McLean and Ryan Jack, both holding players, it will be Scott McTominay who will be at that base of that midfield. We know that John McGinn will certainly play, and then likelihood is as well that it'll be Stuart Armstrong because he's had a good season down at Southampton. So you could pretty much go for all of that. Will it be Dykes or Adams up top? Perhaps Christie as the auxiliary forward, but it will be 2 of those 3. So, yeah, if we were to pick our starting 11 right now, I think we all could. Whether we agree with what he'll do, not so sure, and we want to hear everyone's opinion on that, certainly. But Steve Clarke will have it set in stone, 10 out of 11 for sure.
Yeah, listen, I might as well mention to you our new app is out now on App Store as well. So if you get a chance, don't forget to download it. It's got all the latest information, and we will provide you with a special category for Euro 20 throughout the month of June. We've got the start of it on the 11th of June, and then Scotland against the Czechs on the 14th of June, Scotland against England on the 18th of June. Second is Scotland against Croatia. So 3 fabulous games. I'm excited about it just to be there, Tam.
No, I know, absolutely. Listen, it's been such a long time since we're in a major tournament. I mean, the excitement now is building. Obviously, the Scottish Cup coming up at the weekend, but once the Scottish Cup's out of the way, everybody's focus in this country will be on the Euros. It's brilliant. It's everybody's excited about it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get some pubs open. We get some punters in the bars in Glasgow and Edinburgh and Perth and wherever. And, we can get a good atmosphere, maybe get a few of the fan zones in Glasgow as well and Edinburgh. So, listen, all looking forward to it. And, just buzzing to be there, as you said, that Serbian penalty kick. The shootout seems a long, long time ago. And now it's finally it's just round the corner, and I can't wait for it. I really can't wait. And I just hope that Scotland go out, and as Roughie says, go out and have a go. Don't die wondering. Don't sit at the 5 at the back and 1 up front. Go and have a right go. We're underdogs to get out this group. There's no doubt about it. So why not go and have a crack at them? And you never know where it will take you.
Okay, thanks to Rick Stark, who's said as a message saying, what is the new app called? PLZ Soccer. It's a giveaway. So if you get a chance, in the App Store and on Google Play. Roughie, as far as the tournament's concerned, last night I watched Manchester United with a crowd in, not full capacity, but a crowd, and an easing of the lockdown to the point now where we get to, hopefully, people are able to go for a drink outside and enjoy it and get back and watch the tournament.
Yeah, I don't know many of us in the stadium that night, but certainly it made an atmosphere. They were well dotted around the stadium at strategic parts. It made it a lot better, 100 times better. Just with the amount that was in there, and it was a good game, end-to-end stuff. I'm glad VAR didn't chop the Man United goal off. It would have been an absolute tragedy if that had been taken off. But and certainly, it was the man himself. Showed his world class still with that goal. But it's amazing, 3 touches and you get a goal. You don't see that very often in a game. But certainly, that the crowd certainly made a difference. And that's to get back to the Euros, that's a disappointing thing for me is the crowd in the stadium. We all know what it's like when Scotland travel to Euros abroad or World Cups or whatever. They travel in large numbers, and unfortunately, to miss it, they're the ones that are going to suffer, as they have been suffering all year. So good luck to the guys who get a ticket for the game. I'm sure they'll enjoy it. And as Tam said, everybody else will be sort of about trying to see where they can watch it and get a bit of atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, fingers crossed we all enjoy. Yeah?
I was watching while we were watching the Man United game, I was actually watching Airdrie against Morton on the TV, and there was 500 fans in. And I'll tell you what, it was so much better as well. Even just 500, the Airdrie Ultras were in full voice. So I think the return leg's down at Capello next week. I think there's 500 in there as well. So listen, hopefully that's the start of us starting to get fans in. Because even 500 last night, even there's a foul, there's a shot at goal, just to hear the fans roaring and cheering, and I think it was brilliant. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that is the start of us starting to get fans back in.
Yeah, absolutely. Apologies for the feed today. There's been a few technical issues, but at the end of the day, we're at the end of the season. We got it in the neck on Monday, Roughie. I think people were expecting us on, but we did mention that Gabs and the backroom team had put together a wonderful tribute to whoever was going to win the league. It was Stop the 10. Gabriel, it was a fantastic documentary. Well done to you and the troops who all contributed to it. Most of them are part of our team, and of course, they offered a great insight.
There was someone inconspicuous by his absence. I didn't see you in it much. Were you part of it?
No, I wanted to.
A few of my Rangers supporting pals did ask if you were sick that day.
No, I did get messages about why I wasn't on it, but I wanted to give Gabriel his place about Rangers stopping the 10. I was lying it. Yeah, I know exactly. Well, anyway, Gabriel, it was great, and because you followed it from start to finish, and well done to you.
Yeah, we did. I remember when we sat down at the end of July in 2020, and we said, right, it's the most momentous season in recent history. We're going to do a documentary. A few in the office wanted it to be a 10 in a row. A few in the office wanted it to be a 55 documentary. And it was 55 in the end. Yeah, it was fantastic to put it out, get it out there. Plenty of good feedback. I think it was mainly Rangers fans watching it. I'm not sure how I managed to come to that conclusion, but if you check the comments section, you can tell that for sure. But a momentous achievement for Rangers as well, and I think there's no doubt that they deserve to be champions. Watching it start to finish, they were fantastic. 6 draws, 0 losses. Unbelievable. Only the second time in a 38-game season it's happened. Of course, Brendan Rodgers' Invincibles as well. And you had Scott Brown having a dig saying that they were real Invincibles, his Celtic side. But in terms of league, they both are Invincibles. And it's going to be so exciting to see what happens with this Rangers team next season. Do they stay together? Do they get picked apart? Or do they strengthen? Do they go again? Do they get into the Champions League? Do they retain their title? Do they win some cups finally? But yeah, hopefully we have a nice long summer before then.
Yeah, I have to say the feedback from it's been fantastic as well here. So well done to you on that. And Kathy Conahan says, good documentary, Gabriel. I think you'll find a lot of people who are not Rangers fans actually watched it as well out of interest. I know, I think I watched it about 3 or 4 times, Gabriel, but only to make sure there were no mistakes in it. And I think the one word that came through, Tam, he sent me a text. Have you watched it yet to check in it? And I said yes, and the word that came through was staunch. It was
Oh, it was
unbelievable.
a nice documentary. A couple of
Some
my
of my
friends,
mates
Peter, were
says,
Rangers fans, and they were all over it. Oh, I loved it.
That was the briefing.
And
Make it as staunch as possible.
Well, absolutely. That's what I said. You've got to celebrate Rangers winning it. Whoever wins it, we'll go with the all-in documentary. But Roughie, one of my mates sent me a message saying to see Neil Lennon on it, with Neil Lennon in red, white and blue with 55 either side of him on the graphics, he says was absolutely priceless. Down like a lead balloon.
Yeah, I bet you're hoping Neil Lennon never seen it. You'll be getting a phone call.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, it was a great documentary, Gabriel, and I think a fitting tribute to Rangers, who were fantastic throughout the entire season. And we've only got one bit of silverware left on offer, Tam, and you must be buzzing. They'll be red-hot favourites. St Johnstone could be there to spoil the party. But, I mean, Jack Ross, Callum Davison, legendary status with this one.
Yep, Peter, it's a huge game for both clubs. Listen, as my selfie lights just caved in. No, it's a massive game for both teams. I've been plunged into darkness here. No, I think that Hibs are obviously massive. Hibs are Guinness favourites, but listen, St Johnstone, as you said, they've got a chance to make it a magnificent season. Just got a word from Hibs today that myself and another commentator will be at Hampden and where we'll be sitting and stuff. So listen, excitement for us, excitement for me to be there to watch it. For me to be there and watch Hibs lifting the Scottish Cup would be massive. There's a lot of Hibs fans dotted all over the world looking forward to it. So listen, it's a huge game, and may the best team win. I just hope it's Hibs.
Can I ask Tam? Can I ask Tam? Obviously, I read his column this morning that he scored in the quarter final. What was the reason why you weren't in the 16? What reason did they give you in the final?
I think I was just a young boy, Roughie. As I said, I scored the winner in the 5th round and the quarter final doing at Kilmarnock, and then I played in the semi. And David Zatelli and who else was on the bench? Dirk Lehmann. So they were two very experienced strikers, and me. So I think I was the easy one, just for McLeish to pat in the head and go, listen, you're left out, and there'll be more finals for you, but there wasn't too many, to be honest. So
really, they were better players, to choose for.
Well, some would argue, yeah.
Did you get a medal?
Alec McLeish gave me his medal after the game.
Oh, brilliant!
Medal because I was 17th man, and McLeish came up to me after it and says, "Here, have my medal, son." And so that was a nice gesture. So I've got 3 or 4 losers medals in this.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
lovely gesture. Anyway, lots of people have got their own thoughts on who they think is going to. You confident, Roughie?
Obviously, Hibs are favourites. They have to be. They've got the firepower. We all know St Johnstone are very, very stubborn. They've got certain players who come up with the goods. Rooney in particular. I think O'Halloran, he might be a sub, but he's got the pace, on that pitch, to trouble people. But no, I think they're just a sturdy, strong side. And I think Tam's already said, if you don't let them score first, you could be up against it. You could have been right tough whenever they score the rest of the game. I just think Hibs have got too much firepower and too strong in the midfield. My only doubt is obviously Hanlon and Porteous at the back. If they play the way they can play, then it's a Hibs win. But if they start that stupid carry on that they come out with sometimes, unpredictable, St Johnstone have got a chance. But not for me. For me, it's all Hibs.
Yeah. Gabriel, you're going to be there for us. We are on at 12:30 on Saturday, previewing the kick-off at 2. And then, of course, afterwards, we'll be hearing from the managers and analysing the game that unfolds.
Yeah, really looking forward to this one. Another cup final, the second this season, where there's no teams that we might have tipped to be there at the start. I'm with the boys. I can't really see a St Johnstone victory, which is strange for me to say, considering that Perth Saints have beaten Hibs the last 3 matches. But I just think that Hibs, it all seems to be going for them at the moment. They've hit form at the right time. They've really found that balance with You know, the way that they can shift easily from the 5 at the back to the 4 and push Boyle up. You've got Doige and Nisbet. They just work so well together. And I think Jackson Irvin's been a massive boost for them in the middle of the park. He just seems to get all over the pitch. He's so fit and athletic, and they'll be desperate to keep him beyond the summer. But the only doubt is if St Johnstone score first from a set piece or something like that. They are so good defensively that they could hold on. So I could perhaps see a 1-0 St Johnstone, but I'm going to go 3-1 Hibs. But hey, that could change on Saturday morning when we're back on.
Oof, that's an emphatic scoreline. 3-1. No point in asking Tam. He's probably got it at 4-1 for the Hibbies. He knows where his bread's buttered. Listen, a couple of points just before we go, because obviously we've analysed the Scotland squad. You can give us your thoughts on it. And don't forget, download our app, PLZ Soccer, in the App Store and on Google Play, and you'll be able to get the programmes at your fingertips, on your phone, on your pad, on your PC as well. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we'll be back bigger and better for next season with lots of great features, lots of big plans on PLZ Soccer. Obviously, we've got to fight Roughie to try and retain the services of Tam McManus, but I've got a strong feeling that the wee man will be back with us, loyal, unless, of course, over the course of the summer he kisses the badge.
That's the longest I've ever stayed with one organisation. I usually get released in the summer.
It's maybe
18 months.
I've still to have a chat. Have you been with us 18 months?
I think so, aye.
Wow, that is fantastic.
This will be the first time Tam's at the end of the season call into the office for a manager. To see what's happening next year.
Well, I've not had it yet. Roughie. I still get it.
Still time. Still to have a meeting with Roughie to see if he's going to select you. But nevertheless, you've been absolutely brilliant for us, Tam. You're a valuable member of the team. Now, we will be obviously giving you the chance to join us in the Euros. We'll be covering and previewing the Scotland games as well, giving you all the reactions. So hopefully you're going to stay with us for that on PLZ Soccer. So it's well worth downloading the app, because you will get Scottish, English, and of course European and world football, and the Euros, a special category there for you as well. So hopefully you're going to. So Joyce McDougall has posed a question. Keith O'Flaherty is on it as well, and they want to know who won the predictor for the end of the season. Well, what a race it was. It was unbelievable. Right down to the wire. We got to the Sunday. We thought to ourselves, any one of us could snatch this. And then suddenly, would you believe it, Roughie? I had 4 points. I made a charge. One more goal in one game, and I would have won the whole competition. But for the first time, I was going for 10 in a row. I kid you not. This after 9 years of success.
Stopped you.
You stopped me getting 10 in a row. You won by a single point, Tam. 1 point. I was behind you, and Roughie was 2 points behind me.
Oh, well,
so Roughie buys the meal, Tam.
I can't believe it. I'm absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, I was at one stage when I was listening to that game, I just needed one goal to be second, but it never happened. But no, it was really it's never been that tight before. We thought Tam was going to blow it, been 21 points ahead, but he hung on in there, and got crucial results at the right time. But no, well done to Tam.
Roughie, where are you taking
absolutely.
the lads?
I've not decided yet. I'll have to wait until the restrictions of see what Nicola decides where we can go and where we can't go. But if she's really as stubborn as what she is, we might just have to go somewhere where there's no drink. No, that's just we just have to pop with that.
You'll be getting leathered. Owen McGrandle says, Tam's great patter. He's chased the number 6 and his brogues off the show.
2 points for us, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick Stark says, will there be a live broadcast through the app, Peter? All I will say to you, Rick, is this. If you hit the football show, you'll get the latest one on it. You can watch it live on the app. The other great thing that we're going to bring is a feature on it. It's called Submission. Basically, you can go into the app, press record yourself, and send it to us. And we'll be featuring fans offering their opinion on the show in video next season. It doesn't get any better than that. It's well worth getting the app there and basically Will be interesting. Don't worry, they don't automatically come on the show, Tam. I get to pick the best ones. So that's a good one. So fantastic. It's well worth getting the app. And you can join in the programme as well. A couple of things before we go. Gabriel, from the news this morning, it's established there's an investigation now into basically a fire at Peter Lawwell's house. That's something that I think a lot of us don't want to see, but it's indicative of what's happening in society at the moment. Certainly a shock to everyone to read that news.
Yeah, terrible news. I don't think there's any single sane person in the country that wanted to see anything like that. It's just disgusting, really. And you see, it's almost an inflamed society we have at the moment. You saw the events at George Square on Saturday. Of course, I'm not saying they're linked in any way, but you just want people to be sensible. And you think that with 18 months in this pandemic, that we've all been struggling, and that altogether we could be a little bit more sensible and have a sense of unity and everything, but it just doesn't seem to be happening. You just hope that Peter Lawwell's family and himself are well. I think they are, but they were understandably shocked by the incidents over the duration of the night. So you just hope that everything is okay going forward. So you don't want to see anything like that again. And just hopefully everyone in the country and all across the UK can just come together and have a little bit of sense, especially with the Euros coming, because we don't want to see any repeat scenes of the weekend or of last night going into the European Championships, when, of course, we'll be playing England. And you've seen what has happened in games down there before, yeah.
Yeah, I think all our thoughts are with Peter Lawwell and his family, safe, shaken up by the whole thing. But Roughie, as Gabriel alluded to there on the show, we deal with all the issues, we discuss them at great length. We never shirk our responsibility to that. I think that incident, and of course some of the things that have been happening in the abuse of people over the course of the year, leaves a bitter taste in the mouth. And I think, a lot of people need to take a long, hard look at themselves, and some serious issues have to be addressed with a real consequence now for anyone who is caught, not only over Peter Lawwell. The investigation is ongoing with the police. We don't know who is responsible, and we certainly won't be commenting on any malicious rumours of who is to blame for it. That's an investigation. But I think there needs to be a real a harsher penalty, Roughie, is what I'm saying, for some of the abuse that's gone on over the years. We want to talk about all the great football, but I think this year, even in lockdown, on our shows, we've been bogged down with the madness.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lawwell thing just hits it in the head. This is a criminal act, and whoever did this, they're not supporters. They're not supporters of any club. They're just criminals, and these are the ones you need to catch. These are hopefully the CCTV, and they get caught, and justice comes to them. And we all hope it's a jail sentence of some description. The same with everything else. We want the powers that be to act swiftly on the social media thing. I think everybody's talking about it now. I see the government's now talking about it, and now these firms are going to be held accountable, and it's got to stop. It's damaging too many people, and it's now out with a football now, and that's the horrible thing about it. We all want the image of our game, particularly in Scotland, to be good around the world. And these kind of things that happen just put it in a bad light.
And on a separate incident, completely and utterly detracted away from the Peter Lawwell incident, Tam, it's the first time I've had to comment on it. But I don't think we should shirk the issue on this one, which is basically the conduct of Rangers supporters going from Ibrox to George Square. They knew they should not have been together. They certainly shouldn't have been marching and heading to George Square. They shouldn't have assembled in George Square. Certainly there was a number of them guilty of behaviour which was unbecoming of anyone that you would even call, a human being or a fan. Some of the anti-Catholic singing, the actual wanton destruction of George Square, and of course the attacks on the police were despicable. And again, I think there will be repercussions for that.
Yeah, Peter, there should be. Listen, we all spoke in this show, and they shouldn't have been there. They shouldn't have been marching. We've been dubbed up in our houses. Everyone has for 18 months now. And it's been a long, long time stuck in the house. So they shouldn't have been there. And listen, the scenes were disgraceful, to be honest. Some of the scenes for the Rangers supporters, and nobody wants to see that. You know, we're Glaswegians. We don't want to see our city centre, like that. There's people out having meals who've been stuck in the house for a long time. Locked in restaurants while people were throwing things at the police. So nobody wants to see that. And I just said, hopefully they're punished. You can't get away with that. You can't be able to go into the town and just do what you want. And that's what a lot of Rangers supporters done. They just went in and were out. So just went done whatever they wanted. And as I said, hopefully the police give them a chat on the door, because that's the only way that we're going to stop this. The sectarian stuff as well leaves a bitter taste in the mouth. But we've been speaking about this for, I don't know, long before I was born. Over the last 100 years, 150 years. So is it going to change? Probably not.
Well, I'll tell you what I would like to see happen, Roughie, apart from anything else, the people who are guilty of destructing the destruction of certain areas within Glasgow, I think, there has to be obviously a punishment, but I think some of that punishment should involve them actually being part of a community programme where they clean up the streets and, learn the error of their ways. And I also think that the people who are guilty of singing sectarian songs should go on an education programme, and then they should meet Roman Catholics and try and explain to them why they hate them, and then communicate and try and build bridges and try and understand each other's differences. I think that would maybe be the way ahead as well, Roughie.
Yeah, I think that sounds really, really sensible, Peter, but and I know that some of these people are untouchable, and that's the unfortunate thing about it. For me, what they did was they let their club down. Their club has a fantastic season. We've all been talking about it. We've all been raving about the 55 and goals conceded and everything. And that episode at the weekend took the complete and utter shine away from everything the actual players, the management and everybody did at the club this year, because all we've been talking about now is the vandalism and people from their own support fighting with each other. And that's taken the gloss. I'm sure Steven Gerrard and the players would be really, really miffed at what happened, because for me, they should have been talking about everything that happened on the football park instead of everything that happened at George Square and whatever else.
And for the benefit of anyone who's on right now, and I know there are a number of them giving it what we call in this country whataboutery, what about events elsewhere? We're dealing with a football issue which was predominantly happening across the weekend, which everybody knew was coming. So that's why we're mentioning it, and that's why we've given you our opinion on it. And if you want to get the absolute best piece of literature on it over the course of the weekend, I think it arrived in the Scotsman yesterday with Andrew Smith, who put one of the strongest articles I've read in a long while about the problems that I think still need to be addressed in this country. We are I myself am a constant advocate and, of course, patron of Show Racism the Red Card, an ambassador for it. And quite simply, sectarianism is still a major problem in this country, way beyond what anything else that we have suffering in this country, and it has to be addressed. It's a sad state of affairs. But hopefully, if you get a chance, go online at The Scotsman and read Andrew Smith's assessment of not only the weekend but overall in this country. I thought it was right on the mark, to be perfectly honest with you. People are different, yes, but it's understanding each other, communicating and getting on with each other and not abusing each other for our differences. It's as simple as that. Thorny subject, but it just typifies the entire year, which I think has been, it's left a sour taste in the mouth. And it's not just supporters. I think some of the conduct and some of the overall things that we've been reporting, Roughie, over the course of the year, whether it be boardrooms or indeed the conduct of some players, has left a lot to be desired. We need to work, hard at cleaning up our act in this game.
Yeah, we certainly do. And as you say, the issues that we spoke about during the year, I think at one stage we weren't talking about football. We were just talking about issues away from football, which is unfortunate. And the mental health one for me, the awareness that there are players out there suffering from mental health, much, much more than what there used to be or what we used to hear about. And certainly for me, more and more players are now coming out with the abuse that they're getting on the social media. But all these things need to be really worked hard on, that we can turn it round and get back to talking about football.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that is indeed the case, and we can concentrate on great players, regardless of their race, creed, or colour, just celebrating the fact that they are great players and they've scored great goals and they play for your favourite team. It's as simple as that. That's why we love this programme. I just feel as if we've been bogged down with so much of it this season. It saddens the heart, but hopefully your heart will be glad next season when your team is playing, wherever they're playing, scoring goals. We'll be here for you. Hopefully you'll join us. We'll be back in the studio. The programme will take a shift in a different direction. There'll be lots of other little features that we're going to be bringing you. And of course, with Gabriel alongside us, as ever. You've covered a fair few miles, Gabriel, I have to say to you. What's been your favourite game of the season?
Oh, favourite game of the season? I would say Rangers beating Antwerp 5-3, I think it was. Absolutely crazy game. 2 or 3 penalties. I think there was a red card in there. That's the one that just comes to mind. And obviously it was a Europa League game, quite a big one as well. Also, Aberdeen Celtic 3-3 up at Pittodrie the first time they met. That was fantastic. And I also think that was the game where Celtic thought, hang on, I think this title's actually slipping through our fingers.
Yeah, absolutely. Tam, is there a game that sticks in your mind?
Oh, not really, Peter. No, really. Obviously, I've been covering a lot of the Hibs games. But no, as I said, Hibs have. There's been a few sore ones. Losing to Hearts in the semi-final and St Johnstone in the semi-final. Losing to Hearts in the semi-final was a sickener. But
tell you what was a good one, Tam.
Hopefully the best is yet to come, Peter, on Saturday.
Oh, the best is yet to come. The good one was in start of February when it was freezing. They beat the Dons 2-0 at Easter Road. That was a good game. Boyle scored twice, did he?
That was when I actually thought, because listen, I think early in the season I tipped Aberdeen to finish third. I just didn't think Hibs were strong enough in terms of the squad. But Gabs had just mentioned that game. Hibs battered Aberdeen that day 2-0.
Yeah,
and went above them in the table. And I thought, by the way, Hibs have got a right chance of third place here.
Yeah, absolutely. The other game, well, the favourite game for me was at Tynecastle. It was when Hearts absolutely thumped Dundee. But the reason why I loved it so much, Roughie, is Charlie Adam. He's been magnificent this season for Dundee and well worthy of being in the team of the year in that championship. But Charlie scored an absolute raker of a goal in that game. And Roughie, you and I watched that game and we thought Charlie was carrying a caravan about with him because he looked chunky. And when I
took a while to get himself good.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I watched him, Roughie, with his economy of movement and scoring the goal, I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm going to play 5-a-sides for another year. If Charlie can just twaddle and waddle about that park, there's hope for me yet, Roughie. But he's been that left peg of his is magnificent.
I thought it at the time it was actually a bit harsh saying he was towing a caravan. I would have said possibly a 7.5 Tonka truck. But as we've just seen there, you can carry as much weight as you want if you've got the skill and the ability to make the 3 passes that he made against Wraith Rovers. I don't mind what weight he is, as long as he can control games like that. That's what you're looking for in the dressing room.
Hopefully you'll let him up, Peter.
Well, listen, once you see the left or the right peg, McManus, I think you might be able to score a few goals, but I don't think there's any doubt about it. The 3 passes, you're right, Roughie. There's no better passes in Scottish football this season than Charlie Adam against Wraith Rovers. It was unbelievable. 2 of them were just world class. Anyway, apart from anything else, join us if you can. Saturday, 12:30. Gabriel will be there outside the gates of Hampden for us. Roughie will be with me. And Tam will be obviously working for Hibs TV. We'll have Darren Jackson joining us to give us his assessment of will it be St Johnstone or Hibs. Of course, he played for both of them. He's played for everybody in the Premier League, to be honest with you. So join us at 12:30 if you can. And afterwards, we'll give you the post-match analysis. You'd be as well coming to us for the post-match analysis, because if Hibs get pumped on Saturday, Hibs TV will just be people crying on each other other's shoulder. It'll be an absolute nightmare. And of course, over and above that, boys, the great thing is, one show to go. We've got to thank everybody, Tam, who's contributed. The 98% of people who follow the show, Tam, who give us messages of support, offer us their own opinion on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. They've been a joy.
Brilliant, Peter. Listen, I'd like to thank everybody as well for watching the show. It's been a hard slog all year, and hopefully we've maybe improved somebody's day for an hour. Us talking about football. People love football in this country, and they love listening. And they can give their opinion on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. My wife's on Facebook. She shows me the comments. YouTube, the comments. And as you said, 98% of them are positive, and some of the opinions are great. You think, by the way, she or he's got a point there. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and supporting the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gabriel, you'll be back with us bigger and better next season, unless, of course, you get the Barry Ferguson deal, and then you'll kiss the PLZ badge, and then you'll be off to Sky.
He's looking for a job at Rangers TV. Yes, that team of the week when he picked all Rangers players was an addition to the Rangers. Come and get me. Come and get me.
That was your lowest point, Gabriel. You should have seen McManus's face when your team of the week was 1-11 Rangers.
Alison had a go at me as well when I saw it again the next week. I said there was 5 other games. I bet you did. I was actually my documentary. The 25 minutes was a 25-minute interview for Rangers TV next season. So hopefully, fingers crossed that goes well, and I'll be off. I'll buy my brown brogues, and that'll be me.
Well, absolutely fantastic. And of course, only by a matter of time before he bans us as well, Roughie.
I think he will leave this because he's getting more and more like Rylan every day. I think he's going for the lookalike. I think he'll be doing the Eurovision. He'll be stepping in for the Eurovision soon.
The beard's coming off.
You've had your teeth done.
I think obviously we thank all the locals. Yeah, we thank all the locals. But for me, it's the abroad. It's the guys abroad, Australia, Toronto. For them to make the effort to tune in and listen to it every day. It's just absolutely amazing that people from all over the world are really tuning in, and well done to them, and hopefully they keep doing it because they're big parts of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. We will be back next season. We're in our 10th year. Incredible. We actually managed to get 10 in a row, which is absolutely fantastic. Roughie and I, when we started this 10 years ago, never thought we'd be in this position, but we're delighted that the people who've supported us through it. Figures have been fantastic on Facebook, on YouTube and Twitter. We're delighted you're with us. It's a football show. We can have a bit of banter, and all the boys will be back here in this studio for the new show. But from myself and everybody on PLZ Soccer, don't
he's going so well now, isn't he?
Yeah, it was going so well there. I just thought I'd say that to you. It was going so well, and then somebody pulled the plug out. But I would like to say thanks to everyone for watching the show from Tam and from myself, Peter Martin. Join us today at 12:30 if you can.
Expect